Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March 4th, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and we have our Monday guest, Brett Skalski, back in the house as well, ready to break down this Monday NHL card. 6 games on tap tonight. Before we get into that, let's look back towards Sunday, where we had a nice, solid Sunday slate. It started early in the day with Arizona, Washington, and I mentioned that momentum angle, and I was leaning Coyotes. I did not pull the trigger with the Arizona side, but I did say on the show yesterday, a team that snaps that long losing streak, sometimes they get a little momentum from that, and they can turn it into at least a couple of wins in a row, and the Arizona Coyotes did that. I actually watched much of that game after our show ended yesterday, the rest of it. Looked like Washington was way too slow for Arizona yesterday. That was definitely evident watching that game. Arizona was winning all the puck battles. Arizona had the puck. Arizona was in the offensive zone for much of that game. And you can see what they are building with this Coyotes team, even with the 14-game losing streak as far as up front with that forward group, with Logan Cooley. Obviously, Keller's out, but Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, Michelli, Carcone. I mean, they've got a lot of good talent up front. Schmaltz, they have a lot of good offensive talent up front. There's no question about that. Still, the defense and the goaltending, is where they have to continue to work on improving. But they definitely have good young skill throughout that lineup. And you saw that yesterday for sure in that 5-2 win for the Arizona Coyotes. And sure enough, they go from 14 losses in a row to 2 wins in a row. Very impressive stuff from the Coyotes in that game. I don't know if it was impressive from LA or if it was just really, really bad once again from the New Jersey Devils. But either way, 5-1 LA on the TNT game yesterday afternoon. Kings run away and hide. Just dreadful from the Devils, really. The only highlight was the first goal, which was frustrating because we all talked about the first goal, how bad New Jersey's been giving it up, and yet they score a few seconds into the game. But that was all she wrote. LA with 5 unanswered from that point on. Breakdowns galore defensively for New Jersey. Weak goaltending. Nico Dawes, the one shot. He's got to stop it there in the, I think it was the second LA goal. They've got issues galore. No pushback again. When things go south for New Jersey in a game, actually, that's a good live betting angle to look at. When things go south for New Jersey, they continue to get worse, not better. We saw that in multiple games recently, the Anaheim game, the LA game yesterday, and now they are continuing to play themselves out of the playoff mix in the Eastern Conference with that 5-1 loss to the LA Kings yesterday. Like I said, LA was very solid, but I think a lot of that was bad New Jersey to go with good LA in that Kings victory yesterday. Kevin Fiala continues to score. We mentioned him, a goal prop yesterday. We said bet Kevin Fiala right now. He's on fire, and he once again got the job done for the Kings yesterday. Minnesota, man, they almost got upended by the lowly San Jose Sharks. Credit to San Jose, another gutsy effort from the Sharks in that game, but the Minnesota Wild win 4-3. Kind of frustrating because I had the first period over, and it was scoreless. And I'm like, holy shit, no goals in the first. But the full game overcast, it's just I'm frustrated that they decided to wait till the second period, to start putting the puck in the net. But that's exactly what happened. But no harm, no foul. We split the first period and full game over. Minnesota with the 4-3 win there in that game. The Winnipeg Jets, again, Buffalo, solid effort, up 2-1 going into the third. But Winnipeg took over in the third. They tied the game. And look, as great as Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has been, he opened the door for that Winnipeg comeback with that tying goal in the third. He's got to have that. He's got to make that save when Winnipeg tied it 2-2. It's unfortunate. He's played great lately for the Buffalo Sabres. It was not a great third period. I thought that Morgan Barron shot that gave Winnipeg the 3-2 lead, I thought that was, look, there was no screen, no traffic in front, kind of a short side. It was a nice shot, but it was a bit of a short side angle type of shot. You'd like to see your goalie have that one as well. So a couple suspect goals allowed by Luukkonen, but Winnipeg capitalizes, takes advantage. They put it away with not one but 2 empty net goals, which is brutal if you had the under, because the under looked like the right bet here. It was 2-1 going into the third period. And next thing you know, there we have 4 unanswered goals in the third period for the Winnipeg Jets, and it ends up being a 5-2 win, and the game goes over the total. So tough beat for the under there in that game. Vancouver, I'm glad I stayed off full game on over in this game, that's for sure. And looking back on it, the team total, the one thing I was worried about is Vancouver. All the talk from Rick Tocchet and the team going into this road trip was getting back to the structure defensively, not making the egregious mistakes with the puck that ended up in the back of their net, like in the LA loss where they lost 5-1 at home. And that was just a grind it out, find a way to win, shut it down when you're up 2-1 type of game for Vancouver yesterday, and they get the job done. That being said, you could also say Vancouver could add 4 or 5 goals because Dostal was outstanding in that game once again. He's the reason it was as close as it was. But Vancouver with the 2-1 win. And then the game that pulled me through to a profitable Sunday, Pittsburgh and Edmonton, man. That's the game that did it for me. We did jump on the full game over small, but we really, really did load up on Edmonton first period puck line and especially team total, which was my best bet on the show yesterday, figuring Pittsburgh's in just a brutal spot off that collapse, that choke job, that just brutal defeat against Calgary. They're going to be in tough on a back-to-back showing up. And that was worse than I thought. That was even worse than I thought it might be for the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. Men against boys, totally dominated. Edmonton just speeding circles around them, just hemmed in their own zone repeatedly in that game. It was just a dreadful performance from Pittsburgh, and that's it now. I don't want to hear any talk about, we still got to wait to see if we can get back into the mix. You have no more time left. If you're Kyle Dubas, the trade deadline is Friday. I think you've seen all you need to see. It stopped living, as I said on Twitter, for Kyle Dubas to stop with this cloak delusion that he is living under right now, that this is anything resembling a playoff team. Okay, it's not. It's done. Its fire sale is on, and everything's on the table right now going into Friday if I'm Kyle Dubas right now. You would say everyone except Sidney Crosby, because I don't think they will ask Sid to be traded. Sid's going to have to ask them for a trade and demand a trade from them. That's probably the way it's going to have to go down. And I don't think he's got it in to demand a trade. I just don't. Personality-wise, I don't think he's wired that way. I honestly don't think at this stage, maybe I shouldn't say that because he is competitive. He does want to be good. He wants his team to be good. I shouldn't say he doesn't want to win, but does his want to win override his desire to play his whole career in Pittsburgh and a lifelong Penguin, start to finish? I think there's some question there with that. So it's going to have to be him. He's got to make the move. Sidney Crosby has to make the move and say, I want out of here. This is it, and I want to win one more Stanley Cup before things wrap up in my brilliant Hall of Fame career. And I know that's not going to happen here anymore. And it's not going to happen here in Pittsburgh because this is going to be the start of a very long, very painful rebuild. You've got bad contracts. You got old geezers on this team that can't play anymore, including Malkin. And I don't care that he scored the one goal. That was it just bounced right to him and he scored. I mean, that was a bit more of a good break for him than anything else. He did nothing in the game once again before that. Letang's been atrocious, and they got him, as we talked about yesterday, until age 40 at 2028 at 6.1 per copy. I mean, my goodness. You got all these bad contracts. You have zero in terms of upper echelon, blue chip talent and prospects in your pipeline, in your organizational pipeline. You've got nothing. It's like the guy that's poor, not making ends meet. He goes to his cupboard to find something to eat. There's nothing there. That's Pittsburgh right now with the prospect pipeline. You open up the cupboard, there's dick all there as far as something you can hang your hat on for future success. No prospect pipeline talent, no upper echelon talent, that's for sure. No draft picks right now. I mean, you have got all kinds of issues. This is going to be a long, painful rebuild. It's not going to be anytime soon. This could be 2, 3, 4 seasons like the San Jose Sharks have had the last couple of years for this Pittsburgh team moving forward. So lots of big-time decisions are going to have to be made for Kyle Dubas between now and the trade deadline here on Friday, and it'll be fascinating. Pittsburgh's definitely going into Friday. Going to be one of the more fascinating teams to watch to see what exactly goes down involving this team and whether Kyle Dubas has it in him finally to admit it. It's not going anywhere this year. It's time to take out the sledgehammer and just drill this thing apart, tear it apart, and just smash it to pieces, smash it into oblivion, because that's what Pittsburgh has to do right now. Get it started. Stop delaying the inevitable. That's it. Alex, what did you think of Sunday?
Well, yeah, it's a busy Sunday and a great Sunday. We can start off with that last game of the night, Edmonton taking on Pittsburgh, and obviously we got everything we wanted from Edmonton from a team perspective. Team total over, first period puck line. Did miss on the first period over, but no complaints there because the first goal of the game did come from Edmonton, Zach Hyman. So we cashed not only first
Incredible
goal.
call, Alex. Incredible. That's amazing. Yeah.
First goal of the game plus 1,000, along with first Edmonton Oilers to score at plus 550. Great 2-1 run rush. And McDavid, he joked around during that goalless streak about how he's just going to be, setting up everybody and creating plays and, working on his assists. Fantastic feed to Hyman on the 2-on-1, perfectly timed. Just bounced right off him, got his stick on it perfectly, and he gets past the Nedeljkovic. So, easily one of the more important goals the entire year for me and my bankroll, and hopefully you guys all cash with that as well. But Pittsburgh's in bad shape, and we talked about it yesterday how you got guys like Chris Letang, guys like Malkin, who they're just getting older and not getting better. They're not great aging gracefully like we're seeing with Sidney Crosby. And you add that onto a list of who the hell is this, from the bottom six all the way down to, like you said, even the deepest of prospects. This franchise is in a world of trouble. And, obviously Dubas, he's not going to make himself a villain in a second city and just automatically try to, push the button on pushing Crosby out of town. That's something that's got to be worked on. Like I said, it's going to ultimately be Sidney Crosby's decision on whether he leaves and wherever he goes as well. And he's commanded that respect from this franchise to have that. But that being said, you got to think about it. If you don't do it now, you got to think about it in the offseason. Why not? And I believe this is going to be one of the busiest off seasons we've seen in a long time. I think there's going to be a lot of big-time trades. We've already talked about a couple of big-time goalies we could see move, and Saros and Markstrom. How big would it be if we see Sidney Crosby get moved? That's something that'll take up the whole summer with stories and such. So it would be shocking because it's just hard to imagine Sidney Crosby not in the Penguins uniform. There's just some players that you never thought you'd ever see in other uniforms. Obviously, anything is possible, but it still would have to be his call, and it's something that Penguins fans would have to really kind of buckle up and swallow, because it's going to be, like I said, a very long rebuild for this team moving forward. It's kind of covered over the rest of the games. That LA and New Jersey game, which started off kind of pissing me off, and it's a good mantra to have, is don't get mad, get even. I was upset that 15 seconds in, New Jersey gets the goal, we were all rushing to bet King's first goal minus $1.25. It's something that we talk about it, but I hadn't really practiced that much, so I was kind of mad at myself. And I'm like, the one time I jump on this thing and it loses. Not to worry, that's the beauty of live betting. Grabbing over 2.5, I laid $1.10. I also grabbed a plus 130 with that. And so not only did I end up winning out of the first period, or getting my money back off the loss, but actually end up with a profit in the first period. Bad game again for New Jersey, and I know everybody's debating on does Lindy Ruff should he still have his job today? At this point, you might as well keep the last 20 games or so aren't going to make a difference. You fire him, you put in Travis Green, you put in one of the other assistants, they're all getting fired at the end of the season. You have to clean house and start with something fresh, something new, because this is a talented team. We know how talented, especially this offense, but you have to have somebody who can manage this lineup a little bit better. And Ruff and company, this is not the group. So, take your lumps, miss the postseason, rebuild and regroup in the summertime. And then the Minnesota-San Jose game, like I said, unfortunate to not see any goals early in the first period. That's why I didn't like that both teams to score in that spot too. I just liked first period over, but we ended up getting the full game over, cashing. And San Jose, dangerous team to just kind of deal with at any point right now. Just like we talked about at the beginning of the year, where there's like, there's not really spots to back them, but it's going to be hard to fade them. Now you're at a point where you can't back them or fade them necessarily, because they're playing with absolutely nothing to lose. So you have these teams that should be better, like Minnesota, but more than likely going to find themselves watching the playoffs on television. They end up in these 1-goal games where it's a coin flip at the end of the game, where you have a Dallas team that can't always get things together. They all play down to certain competition. They go to overtime against the Sharks. So Sharks games is going to be even harder to read if they were already difficult enough the first 60 games of the year. So tread lightly when looking at the teal and black.
Tread lightly indeed. There's no doubt. That's a good suggestion, good advice moving forward, especially for the rest of the season. Brett, I know you had a busy, hectic weekend. How much hockey did you get to check out yesterday?
I was really just skimming the scores. Got to see some of the the Oilers game last night, but didn't get many bets in over the weekend because I spent a lot of time in the car and on the bench with my own team. But going back to Alex's point, I think Ruff has a longer leash than we're going to anticipate. I don't think that you can get rid of a guy because that roster is flawed. No goaltending. Dougie Hamilton's been out the whole year, and you had a significant amount of time without Jack Hughes. It's no wonder where they're at. So I think until Fitzgerald addresses those problems, mainly the goaltending, you can't put the blame on anyone but himself. That's my thought. But yeah, Penguins in the world hurt. It'll be an interesting week leading up to the deadline, what they do, because like you said, Ian, they have so many bad contracts. I don't know who's going to take them on to get anything in return, but it'll be an interesting close to the deadline. I don't know about you guys, but I think the playoffs are teams in the playoff spots right now are going to be the playoff teams we see at the end of the season, maybe with some differences in seeding.
I don't think the Flyers are home and clear yet of the Islanders.
They're the only one, I think.
Yeah.
And I still think the Kings got one more complete free fall of them.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Kings in that wild card spot.
No.
I think the Flyers are right. The only team I can see though possibly taking them is the Caps. And I don't know. I just think Tortorella will have too good control with the Flyers to let that slip away.
And I've got to say, yeah, go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I don't trust the Caps to make a deeper run than the Flyers in the last 20 games.
And we saw that yesterday. That's, with all due respect to Arizona, that's nice. 2 nice wins in a row. That's not what you can't have that. At home against Arizona, you can't lose like that if you're Washington. So that's why it's hard to believe in them. And they've overachieved to this point, in my opinion, anyway. So, like I said, I think they're going to be on the outside looking in when it's all said and done this season. And keep in mind, I mentioned this, I believe, yesterday on social media, on Twitter X during the Devils game. And it's about Luke Hughes. He's a very good offensive defenseman, okay? He can skate well. He moves the puck well, good passer, great power play quarterback. All the offensive side of things, Luke Hughes does pretty well. He has got to work on his defensive game in his own zone. He simply has to, because these last couple of weeks, man, he has been a disaster at times in his own end, Luke Hughes. And he's got all the talent in the world with the puck on his stick, quarterbacking a power play, making a great pass, the vision on the ice to find an open teammate. Like, he's got all the great assets you want in an offensive defenseman, but he's got very little, if any, of it right now in terms of shutting you down in his own end. He has been a horror show at times in his own zone, Luke Hughes, with turnovers, with getting beaten, with pinching at wrong times and getting beaten in odd man rush situations. He's got to work on that side of the game big time if he's going to be a complete all-around defenseman here in the NHL level. Or else he's going to be the next Erik Karlsson, all offense and a nightmare defensively, and you don't want to be that. So if you're Luke Hughes, that's what you got to work on, because your defensive game is not even close to where I think he wants it to be or where the Devils want it to be. So that is definitely something that we're going to have to see if he can make good on that moving forward, improving in his own zone. All right, let's get to Monday. Our first game, Vegas Golden Knights, Columbus Blue Jackets. Vegas minus 190 road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Vegas trying to rebound from just a disastrous game against Buffalo Saturday night, 7-2 shellacking Saturday night at the hands of the Buffalo Sabres. It's been a rough patch here for Vegas. They have just struggled. They got the win against Toronto to start the road trip, kind of a big revenge spot. Caught Toronto in a very, very tough spot coming off their own road trip as well, which was an undefeated road trip that just set up well for Vegas. So it's really the only win they've had recently. So it just continues to be, a really difficult stretch of the schedule for them. They just have not played great hockey. They've sort of lost their way. Not sort of. They have lost their way defensively. I mean, the 7-2 loss to Buffalo, 5-4 loss to Boston. They're down 3-0 in that game after the first period. They did make a valiant comeback attempt, but you just can't spot a team 3-0 lead on the road in the first period and expect to win a hockey game. Before that, of course, they had the win against Toronto. But preceding that, they had lost 3 in a row. I mean, this team's just 1-5 in their last 6 games, 2-7 in their last 9 games. So it's been a real struggle for Vegas. And, it's hard to explain it because I know Stone, and we talked about this, without Mark Stone in the lineup, this Vegas team defensively up front with the forward group is not as strong. I mean, they miss his goals. They miss the 16 goals, 37 assists that Mark Stone has with this upper body injury, but he is a puck thief, I should say. He is a great he takes the puck away routinely. He's great at forcing turnovers. He's great at the defensive end of the game. And we have seen this Vegas team without him really struggle. Do you know that the Golden Knights are 5-0 to the over without Mark Stone since he's been out? He missed his last game was February 20th against Nashville. They've been 5 games without him. Scores were 7-3, 4-3, 6-2, 5-4, 7-4. All 5 games going over the total. 1-4 the Vegas Golden Knights in those 5 games. So you tell me that I'm blowing smoke here, that Mark Stone doesn't matter defensively here for this Vegas Golden Knights team. He does. Absolutely. I know you miss his offense. I would argue you miss his defensive play, his play away from the puck even more than his offense. And it's certainly playing out that way right now for the Vegas Golden Knights right now. I mean, 5 straight overs without Mark. So it's hard to bet this team under the total right now. I know they're going to be wanting to clamp down defensively. It's going to make you want to kind of lean under because of that sentiment. But, man, they are struggling at the defensive end right now. And it's funny because, yes, they miss Stone and Eichel's out, of course, although he's closing in on a return. They're without a couple key depth forwards, too, like Brett Howden and William Carrier. But their blue line is fully healthy. That's the staggering part. Like, Mark Stone's that big of a difference maker defensively because they've got all their defensemen healthy now. They've got Martinez, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore, Haig, Whitecloud, and yet they're still struggling right now on the defensive end of the ice. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. I've got lots of opinions here in terms of how I'm going to approach this. I do think Columbus has kind of presented itself here to Vegas as a get-well spot. And I definitely am interested in Vegas in some form here. Like, they got to clamp down. They've got to, respond after that kind of a game against Buffalo the other night, 7-2. It was just utterly a disaster. And it's not like Columbus is one of those teams we trust. And a lot of teams use Columbus as like that get-well spot in the schedule. They're off a 5-2 win against Chicago on Saturday night, the Blue Jackets, but they got Soderblom in a good way for them, of course, as they took advantage of a struggling goaltender, got 5 goals behind them. So this is what I'm going to do here. And I want to stress that even though I've got 3 different bets here on the Vegas side of things, they are small. They are small because I am kind of worried about where they're at right now. But you look at what they've had to deal with schedule-wise. Okay, a Buffalo team that has a bad loss, but they've been playing better. Buffalo, Boston, Toronto, twice. Nashville's on fire. Carolina, Minnesota. It's been a very tough schedule for Vegas lately. This is a step down for them. It is going to be for them facing Danil Tarasov in net, who is definitely, in my opinion, because Merzlikins is out. He's day-to-day right now for the Jackets, so it's going to be Danil Tarasov tonight. He is a downgrade from Merzlikins. There's no doubt Merzlikins is a good notch or 2 ahead of Tarasov right now. And Merzlikins isn't great, but he's a notch or 2 ahead of Tarasov, and I'm sure Alex in his goalie rankings might agree with that for sure. So for me, this is Vegas first period puck line, Vegas full game puck line, Vegas team total over 3.5. A little bit on all 3. I think this is the spot. It's time to stop screwing around. You're better than this. You got an opponent you can beat. You got a goaltender that's not had a great season for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Time to stop the bleeding if you're Bruce Cassidy and company. So that's what we're going to do. 3 bets split between Vegas first period puck line, Vegas full game puck line, Vegas team total over 3.5. I might add the full game over too because I lean that way as well. But I also think this could be 4-1, 4-2 Vegas or 5-1 Vegas. And they really clamped down and shut down Columbus. So that's the approach for me. Alex, what do you think? Vegas, Columbus.
Yeah, I like that Vegas team total. I got over 3.5 minus $1.10 this morning. I didn't add anything else. And like I said, I kind of agree. Vegas, this should be their game where they step up, wake up, and put the screws to a bad goaltender in Tarasov and a bad team in Columbus. But they could dominate and control possession and kind of work things down early. Keep in mind, Vegas has been a high first period over team of late. That's not really their style. When they're playing their best hockey, they're actually trending to the under in the first period. We saw it for the beginning of the majority of the first half of the season. It was only when things started to get a little wonky, especially in goal, did we start seeing these first period overs come in. So this is where I could kind of see things maybe start off a little bit slow with Vegas dominating, and then they find their way to chip in, get a goal, kind of wear this Columbus team down. So I like team total over 3.5. That's the only thing I'm going to roll with here. Just Vegas on the team total over.
By the way, first period puck line price plus 150 for the first period puck line, plus 130 for the full game puck line, minus 1.5. And the team total that I got on Vegas, again at Pinnacle, always offers a really nice low juice, low vigorous price on these team totals. Pinnacle has over 3.5, minus 114 for the Vegas Golden Knights team total in this game. Absolutely, Rich H. Shea Theodore, 9 assists in the last. It's a crazy what he's doing. I mean, it's just 9 assists for him in the last 13 games, I believe it is for the. It's 9 assists, sorry, in the last 6 games. So he's been an assist machine. So you're right. Plus 110 assist is a great bet. 100%. He's not scoring. I mean, he's got all of his points have been assists. 9 in the last 6 games for Shea Theodore. So totally in agreement there. Plus 110 for Shea Theodore. Assist is a good bet here. I'll get to some more props in a moment for this game. But first, Brett, what do you think? Golden Knights, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you guys as far as how I think the game's going to go. While Vegas has not been particularly great win-loss wise the last couple games, the schedule hasn't really played in their favor. The only thing I'm on right now is the Vegas first period puck line. And my thinking with that is that Bruce Cassidy told media this morning that he thinks Jack Eichel will be playing tonight. So I'm thinking that there's going to be at least a little first period bump in energy for the boys to get an early start, maybe pop a goal in early. And then, as Alex said, when this team's on, they should be trending towards the under. So I'm just going to look towards Vegas first period puck line.
All right, Vegas first period puck line. To me, Barbashev, close shave Barbashev. I agree with Cuban. Ivan Barbashev does have good numbers against Columbus. But my number one Vegas goal prop tonight, Wild Bill, William Karlsson. No question about it. He scored in back-to-back games for the Vegas Golden Knights in the last 2, formerly of the Columbus Blue Jackets, of course. So keep that in mind. Columbus left him exposed in the expansion draft. You know what that's like. Hey, he didn't want me. Vegas took me, and that's where he's gotten into to this terrific run that he's had. He's been a great player for the Vegas Golden Knights. Great player during this run since 2017, since the Blue Jackets left him exposed in that expansion draft. So there's always going to be that thought process for William Karlsson anytime he plays Columbus. I'll show these guys what they're missing and what they missed out on and what they passed on when they left me, exposed in the draft. And I think Marchessault against Florida, of course, the team that left him exposed in the draft, he's done good against them in the past as well, big time numbers. So Wild Bill, William Karlsson, you don't forget that shit. I mean, you always use that as like that extra little incentivization to really bring it when you have that kind of an angle in play here. This team let me go, didn't want me, decided, hey, we'll let you walk. We'll let Vegas take you off our hands. And William Karlsson, since he's been with Vegas, has had a great career. So William Karlsson for sure tonight. He's not only in good offensive form, looking for 3 straight games with a goal, but the angle makes sense. Again, the price isn't the best, plus 210, but it's still, I think, terrific to look in that direction here tonight. Nick Waugh as well has been very solid lately for the Golden Knights. I think there's some value there with his props as well tonight. Waugh has 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points in the last 3 games. So there's someone you can look at. Like you said, we talked about Marcia, so he's rolling. Theodore with the assist prop. So those are a lot of good looks there. For Vegas or for Columbus, Jack Roslovic, 5 points in the last 4 games. How about Cole Sillinger? Goals in the last 3 games for him. So maybe a little Cole Sillinger for Columbus. He's starting to heat up right now. For them. All right, Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, original 6 battle. We've got the Leafs minus 130, home favorites, 6.5 the total now. It's moved up. So this opened 6. It's gone up to 6.5 now with this Bruins and Leafs total in this game. I see why that is. We've talked about Boston. They're an over team at the moment. They've lost their way defensively, at least a little bit. They're not shutting teams down like they normally do. We're seeing that over and over again, no pun intended, from the Boston Bruins. 5-1 the other night against the New York Islanders. They beat Vegas 5-4, but they blew a 3-0 lead. They got to 4-4, and they had to rescue themselves with a late Mason Lowry goal, 5-4 to win. Blew a lead against Seattle, blew a lead against Vancouver. You get my point. They're blowing leads is not correlated to unders. And that's what we're seeing right now with the Boston Bruins at this point in time. That was awful from them against the Islanders the other night. A natural Hattie for Kyle Palmieri of the Islanders in the first period of that game, and it was just over at that point for the Boston Bruins. Toronto, meanwhile, so we know Boston's struggling. 3-7 in their last 10 games, 1-4 in their last 5 games. And we know Toronto is one of the hottest teams in the NHL since the All-Star break. 9-1 in their last 10 games. Huge win for them against the New York Rangers on Saturday. It was one of the best regular season games of the year. Rangers, no question, had everything. Great goals, great goaltending. Samsonov and Shesterkin were great. Terrific plays, hard hitting, little agitation, and of course one of the fights of the year, which we've said about every Matt Rempe fight since he's been in the league. It's been one of the fights of the year. His Delorier fight, his Olivier fight, and then, of course, with Ryan Reeves on Saturday night. So that game had everything. My question is, if Toronto doesn't beat Boston tonight, when is it going to happen? Boston is ripe for the picking. They're not playing well. Toronto, to me, I don't view this as a letdown after the big Ranger game, even with all the hype about Rempe and Reeves and all that. This is Boston. This is a team that's had your number over the years, regular season, and especially in the playoffs. It's a Boston team that earlier this year beat the Leafs twice. November the 2nd, 3-2 in a shootout. December the 2nd in Toronto, 4-3 in overtime. And you could argue that Toronto played Boston just as, even if not a little bit better in both of those games, but did not get the result in either of those 2 games. So I'm going to take Toronto here, -130. I think Boston's just in a bad way here. It's time, I think, for the Leafs to step up and finally beat this team. They're struggling. They're not playing good defensive hockey. In fact, you could argue the better defense and goaltending the last week or 2 has been on the Toronto side, not the Boston side, because Allmark and Swayman have been kind of up and down. So Toronto -130, and absolutely I have to have something on the draw in this game. No question about that. This is just obvious that we have to be on the draw. The Toronto Maple draws, the Droston Bruins, whatever you want to call them, on the other side. Boston, again, we talked about, the fact that they had the 6 straight overtime games in a row. The Vegas game after that nearly went to OT. Yeah, it was 5-1 against the Islanders, but even though I like Toronto to win this game, I'm pretty damn sure Boston is going to be a lot more competitive here tonight than they were against the New York Islanders on Saturday night. So I think we still have a great chance to go to overtime. And keep in mind, as far as series history goes, both meetings this year went past regulation. 3 straight meetings overall between these 2 teams, dating back to last April, have gone past regulation. So have to have the draw. This is a must bet. You cannot turn down betting the draw under any circumstance in this game tonight between the Bruins and the Leafs. Alex, what do you think here at Boston, Toronto?
Yeah, well, that's the one play that the Droston Bruins T-shirts will be available in the Ice Guys store coming up at the end of the week. But yeah, draw 3 in a row. Obviously, with Boston 7 of the last 10 games overall have gone past regulation. So, and I expect this one to be kind of a low and slow kind of game. So I might take a shot at the under here too, at 6.5. I've been betting a few more unders and cashing with them. I could see this one being so if you want to take a sprinkle correct score, we go 2-2 or 3-3. But I definitely feel like this is going to be just kind of one of those classic kind of slow games. I grabbed the under early because I don't think we're going to see a lot of goals here early in the first period. I see, $1.40. I could see where this thing really slows out. 2 teams kind of feeling each other out. A lot of physicality, a lot of hits. Because, like I said, maybe see a fight or 2. These 2 teams know how important this game is, and I think it's going to have that true playoff feel throughout. So give me the draw here. I got it at +350 at FanDuel.
Yeah, no, not a full unit on it, Scott. Never a full unit for me on a draw, no matter how much.
Oh no, this is a full unit for me. I will play full units on draws. So that's for Ian. For me, no. The Bruins in the 6 game span, I had 4 of those for a full unit.
Yeah. So. Wow, which means that handsomely pays out, no doubt, when you have it for a 1 unit bet. No, my draw bets are 0.05 units, 0.1 units each. Majority, it's either that 0.05 or 0.1 units per draw bet. This one I might jump up to 0.25 units, quarter unit on this one. Yeah, which is rare for me. I don't usually have a draw bet at quarter unit for me.
And quarter unit and a full unit is my scale for draw play. So I usually don't have anything less than a quarter unit whenever I'm betting a draw.
Yeah. I mean, what more can we say? I mean, Boston's gone to overtime or shootout 6 of the last 8, 3 straight head-to-head meetings. Bruins versus Leafs have gone past regulation. I mean, it's got all the makings and earmarks of a 1-goal game. It's got a great chance to go to OT. Yeah, Goose, I'm on the Leafs. I'm not on them a ton, but I will be very upset if they shit the bed tonight. If they and they have a bad game, and I won't be happy because I think this is as good a chance as they've had in a very long time to beat this Boston Bruins team. The confidence is there. A lot of the elements of their team are in a good way right now. They beat a very good Rangers team on Saturday night. Like I said, I think this is their spot to finally get Boston, but they got to step up and do it. Simple as that. Brett, what do you think here? Bruins, Leafs.
I'm on the Leafs as well. I'm also adding I think there's another reason to be on the Leafs too, is in this spot, is that Boston plays the Oilers tomorrow. I don't think they beat both of them back-to-back nights. So if the Bruins win tonight, I'll be fading them tomorrow night against the Oilers. But I'm also on the Toronto team total over 3.5 at +112. They've been scoring machines lately. And Boston, can't get it out of their own way with the goals against. So I'm going to take the Toronto team total over as well. And I think there's going to be goals. So I'm on first period over, first period both teams to score, and the over 6.
I'm on over 6 too.
Obviously.
I'm on over 6 too. Yeah, I'm on over 6 too, Brett, but I don't love it at 6.5. The 6.5 move to me in this game is significant. I'd be a little leery of betting it at 6.5, quite honestly, in this game. But I did commit to say, and I had an over 5.5 with the Bruins and the Islanders on Saturday night, and I had the over with Vegas and Boston. I've been saying Boston's a bit more of an over team right now because their defensive foundation has crumbled a little bit. They have not done as good of a job keeping the puck out of their own net. So I'm still with you on over at 6.5. I don't like it nearly as much. But as far as props go for this Bruins and Leafs game, and keep in mind the last meeting did go over the total 4-3 in Toronto. In fact, 2 straight meetings in Toronto have gone over 5-2 and 4-3 were the final scores. So keep that in mind. But as far as the props for this game are concerned, there are a few that I like for Boston. We've talked about Geeky. He's been heating up for this Bruins team. And right now he is looking at, there's going to be some lineup juggling for Montgomery. He's got Geeky with Pasternak and Heinen. In fact, Geeky and Heinen both have good value tonight on that second line for the Boston Bruins. It's Marchand, Coyle, and DeBrusk still on the top line. But yeah, Heinen and Geeky I think definitely would be worth a look in my opinion. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, Matthew Knies continues to play well. He's getting chances every night, even when he doesn't score. He's worth a look. And we have to take Tyler Bertuzzi. Talked about Tyler Bertuzzi a lot, but he's been in great form, scoring in bunches, and facing his old team, Boston Bruins, the team he went to at the trade deadline last year. And now he gets to play against them tonight. So, yeah, definitely looking at some Tyler Bertuzzi goal prop here tonight in this game. No question. That stands out to me as well in this matchup. Bobby McMahon's cooled off. By the way, great news for the Leafs. The Rempe hit on Lyubushkin. People expected maybe he's going to have to miss time, maybe a lot of time. Not the case at all. That's one tough mother Russian right there, Ilya Lyubushkin. He is back, and he's in the lineup tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the new addition, they got him last week from Anaheim. So it's Riley, Lyubushkin, Brody, Liljegren, Benoit, and McCabe going to be the sixth defenseman for the Leafs here tonight in this game. And in goal, it's going to be Jeremy Swayman for Boston. And actually, you know what? I don't see confirmation on Samsonov, but I do think it will be Ilya Samsonov here for Toronto tonight in this game. So interested to see. This should be a good one. Fascinated to see how it plays out tonight. All right, speaking of good ones, so should this be a very good hockey game tonight. Florida Panthers, New York Rangers. Florida Panthers -125, road favorites. 6 the total, shaded to the under in this game. New York Rangers obviously have been one of the best teams in the NHL post All-Star break, 9-2 in their last 11 games. Florida, though, every bit as good, 9-1 in their last 10 games. A dominant, impressive suffocation of a 4-0 shutout victory over Detroit Saturday afternoon in that ABC national TV game. Very, very impressed with the Florida Panthers right now. I'm keeping it simple. You're going to give me the Florida Panthers on the road where they lead the league in road wins at this price. I'm taking Florida. I'm taking Florida, and that's what I'm doing. There we go. I'll do multiple Panther sounds to express my surprise that Florida's this. I shouldn't say that surprised that they're this cheap because, the New York Rangers have played well. But if you actually look at the underlying numbers, and I did dig in more to the advanced numbers going into this game, there's been a lot more of the luck factor on the New York Rangers side in their last 11 games where they've gone 9-2 than Florida. Florida's underlying metrics, expected goals for, expected goals against, high danger chances for and against. Florida's got the better stats. Florida's got the better numbers in a lot of those categories the last 10, 11 games. So, yes, while the Rangers are 9-2 in their last 11, Florida's 9-1 in their last 10. Florida's advanced numbers look better than the New York Rangers' advanced numbers here in the last 10 or 11 games, no question. So I think that could end up being the difference maker here in this game. We see back the recent meetings, the Rangers have actually played Florida very well, 4-1 in the last 5 meetings, but they've only met once this year, and it was right before the turn of the new year, December 29th, down in Florida, 4-3 Panthers. In that game. I'm also going to grab the over in this game. I have to. This is strictly a series history play. 9-0-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings. And do I love betting Florida overs right now? No, I really don't. They're playing amazing defense right now. The goaltending is going to be Bobrovsky and Shesterkin. These two guys are on their game right now. The thought of betting an over is scary. Really is. But I see a 9-0-1 with the Panthers and Rangers in the last 10 meetings, and I'm betting it. I don't care what the situation or the current form. That strong of series history is not something I'm willing to ignore. And sometimes styles make fights. And with the Panthers playing a stingy 4-0 type of game Saturday against Detroit, Rangers will be a test for them, at the defensive end, especially coming off a loss. And that series history is just so damn difficult to ignore. So, over 6 with a little trepidation, I must admit, but I am on that over 6 in addition to the Florida Panthers here, -125. Alex, Panthers, Rangers, this could be a dandy.
Yeah, there's no trepidation for me with that over because it actually goes back even further than that. It tries 16-0-1, or if you were able to get the 5.5, 17-0 the last 17 meetings to the over. And this is crazy because we're talking about a lot of different lineup changes, and for the most part, especially on the Rangers end, we're always talking about a usually rather responsible defensive team. Now, Florida, we of course know the up and down kind of boat race style they had before Maurice got in there, but this is a long-term trend that is worth rolling on. We only have a few of these matchups in the entire NHL where we see heavy on the first period over, heavy on the full game over. It's just pretty much an automatic bet. I got 6 at +105 this morning, along with first period over 1.5 -$1.12, and the first period both teams to score +190. Those
You're definitely not worried over trifecta in this game. Yeah,
I'll take it even a step further. I have correct score 4-4 tie for the 60-minute correct score +2,500. So I chopped all these things up small and played them. I like goals here. I think this is going to be. I personally think this is the Eastern Conference Final preview. Now, I don't think the style in which we're going to see this game played is how it's going to look in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I definitely think we're going to have back and forth action. I think like I said, these are two teams that know, hey, we're facing the other best team in the conference. And we talk about all these teams that are kind of middling around third and below that are in the East race. If you're really looking for futures on who you want to take to win the East, who would you like out of the East to win the Stanley Cup? These are really your two biggest and best choices by far. So I expect a good game. I expect plenty of action, and I expect this game to go past 60 minutes, hence that 4-4 correct score. So give me the draw as well with the over trifecta and the correct score 4-4 +2,500.
There we go. Wow. Lots to like for Alex P. Smith with Panthers and Rangers tonight. This one I stayed off the draw, but I might dabble in it just small. Don't like it anywhere close to the Bruins Leafs draw, but definitely I think it's going to be a pretty close game. And even though I like Florida to win, it's probably going to be very competitive here. And the Rangers have done well against the Panthers. That is my biggest that's my biggest fear about taking Florida, is that the Rangers have done well head-to-head against the Panthers the last couple of years. But Florida did beat them earlier this year. And like I said, the crux of this decision to bet Florida for me is that league best road record, like 21-8-2 for the Panthers on the road this year. Number one in the NHL as far as road record. And they've got 2 more road wins than every other team in the league. The next teams that have had the best road record are the Kings, the Rangers, and the Canucks with 19 road wins. Florida's got 21, tops in the league as far as road performance is concerned. And like I said, you're not going to get them this cheap on the road very often. And I know they're playing against a very capable, very good Rangers team, but I'm not turning down the price here with the Panthers, the league's best road team at this number. What do you think here, Brett? Florida Panthers, New York Rangers.
I'm not quite in love with the game as Alex is, but I am reluctantly on the over just based on the series history. As you pointed out, Ian, both goalies are kicking right now, so it wouldn't surprise me if it stays under, but based on the history, I'll take the over. I also think you can make a draw case for pretty much every game on the card tonight, so I will have a small play on that as well.
Yeah, it's not just Florida's been great on the road. Go back and look at all their results. When it's been a good team, really good team, and a big game on the road, they've shown up and they've won. They've gotten the job done. It's really amazing how often that has happened for the Florida Panthers this season, no doubt. As far as props, there are some good looks here as far as that is concerned going into this game. Brandon Montour for sure. 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in the last 4 games. I mean, goal prop, assist prop, maybe even a shot at over 1.5 points, for a big plus price could be worth a look. Kachuk's been rolling again, 18 points, 5 goals, 13 assists in the last 10 games. Reinhart cooled off a little, but he's still, capable on a nightly basis. Right now for the Rangers, Vinny Trocheck is the one to take a look at. 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points in the last 8 games. He had a terrific game in a losing effort against Toronto on Saturday night. So Vinny Trocheck
there too.
Yeah, no doubt. So Vinny Trocheck on fire at the moment for the New York Rangers and against one of his old teams. It's a great angle, no question. I'm done with Kakko. That's it. I'm shocked he's still on the top line. With Zibanejad and Kreider, that's very peculiar to me, very surprising. Vinny Trocheck, can't argue with the bread man, Panarin. He's been very good lately as well, but obviously he's priced like it. Verhaeghe, he's been better lately as well. Maybe I take a shot too. This feels like maybe a game for Nick Cousins and Sam Bennett on that second line as well. You look at Cousins, he's had some shots on goal. He's had some chances. He's had actually 4, 8, 9, 11, 13 shots on goal in the last 5 games. So the chances are there. The opportunity has been there for Nick Cousins. The puck just hasn't gone in for him yet. And same with Sam Bennett. He had the goal against Buffalo. This guy's got a whopping 7, 12, 15, 22. He's got 26 shots on goal in the last 5 games. He has multiple 7 shots on goal performances in the last 5 games as well, Sam Bennett for the Florida Panthers. So while the numbers aren't there as far as production, it's coming. If he's going to keep shooting at that volume, eventually something's going in for Sam Bennett and for Nick Cousins for that matter. So there's definitely some value with props with those 2 guys here tonight as well. All right, St. Louis Blues and Philadelphia Flyers. Brett's Flyers, -140. Home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. The St. Louis Blues needed a win in the worst way on the weekend against Minnesota, kind of stopped the bleeding. They had lost 3 in a row, and they get that 3-1 win against Minnesota. Although Minnesota's gone backwards again, losing to Carolina, drilled in Nashville, and losing to St. Louis. So I don't want to make too – and then they barely escaped San Jose yesterday. So I don't know if it's a really great sign that they're back on track. One thing I do know about St. Louis is you go back and look at their recent results. Off a win, they've not been good. Okay, they're 0-3 in their last 3 games off a win. They've not been able to string wins together since going back to late January, early February. And I don't trust them off a win against Minnesota here. And I like what I see from Philadelphia. Continue to be impressed. I mean, the game got away from them in Washington, and their road play has been kind of up and down. But here at home, they've been pretty good in this Wells Fargo Center. 4-2 against Ottawa win, 6-2 against Tampa win. The Ranger game, they could have won that. They outplayed the Rangers at home, lost 2-1. They beat Arizona. They beat Seattle at home before that. So we're on a nice little 4-1 run at home in the last 5 games for the Philadelphia Flyers. So I just don't love minus 140 with this group, but I lean Philadelphia. This might be a game, too, where I look at something in game as far as the Flyers. I probably will take a small shot with the team total over 3.5 pregame, and then look to see if I can get a better money line in game with the Philadelphia Flyers. But the thing, too, with Philly is when they win games, they often do get to 4 goals. 4 at home against Ottawa, 6 at home against Tampa Bay, 5 at home against Arizona in their last 3 home wins. So, yeah, the team total is the route for me. And plus 130 is the price for that Flyers team total over 3.5. It's a really good price. I'll bet that pregame, and then we'll see if we can find a better money line price. Maybe the Blues get up early for some reason, and then we'll get a better Flyer price during the game. As far as the goaltending tonight, it looks like in this one we'll see Binnington and Sam Ersson, the 2 goalies here for the Blues and Flyers, respectively. Although and Travis Konechny remains out, by the way, for Philly. But shout out to Sandstrom, Felix Sandstrom. You know, I didn't trust that guy a lot against Ottawa. I thought he played pretty well in that game. And, of course, the Flyers got the victory with Felix Sandstrom in net on Saturday. And, because their goaltending is all thrown out of whack with the Carter Hart, exile from the team right now because now they got to unfortunately wear Ersson into the ground, and there is a part of me that does worry he gets a little worn out and may struggle later as the workload continues to increase for him. And then you don't know what you're going to get from Sandstrom, but it's the hand they're dealt with right now. And Philadelphia is not going to buy a goalie at the deadline. They've still got the long-term plan in mind, and so I think they're going to just stick with what they have right now. Maybe a small little depth goalie addition, but it's not going to be a frontline goalie addition that they make at the deadline. So for Danny Briere and Jonesy. What do you think here, Alex? St. Louis, Philadelphia.
Yeah, I hope they don't make a move for a goalie at the deadline because I want to bet against them in the first round series because this is goaltending you can't trust in a 7-game series at all. So they should go out and get another goalie, but they won't, and I'm hoping they won't so we can capitalize on that. That being said, in this game, I don't see a lot of goals here. And I think, like you said, with St. Louis, they're this team that just they're playing good hockey, but they're up and down in their sorts of where they had these big bursts of explosion of goals. And then all of a sudden they look at the last couple of games with Minnesota, where a team that they usually go up and down with wasn't a whole lot of pace there. Obviously with the Oilers, they had all the momentum going their way. Oilers slowed the game down and took control, and they ended up getting the victory there. So I think this could be a kind of low and slow kind of game. Totals, I'm just kind of staying away from. I do like the draw in this spot. It's a classic draw season spot. 2 teams needing points desperately in their own playoff races, not in each other's way. This definitely feels like a game that if it's tied 2-2, maybe 15 minutes into the third period, that'll be your last call to grab something about value with the draw, and this thing just slows down to a snail's pace. So the draw is the only thing I have here in this one with Blues and Flyers.
It's funny with the total. It's 6. And you think it could be a little bit lower scoring. The last 4 meetings, Flyers, Blues, one of them's gone to 7, 5-2, but the last 3 have all had exactly 6 goals. The last 3 meetings with these 2 teams. So that's what's tricky about this one. I think if I let me see, because with the juice to the under, which it is, the 6.
5.5 is like 128.
Yeah. Some books sometimes have a 5 and yeah. I'm seeing Pinnacle as over 5.5 minus 120.
Well, yeah.
That I'm more interested in. If you give me a 5.5 in this game, I'd jump a little bit on an over here at 5.5.
And then that means if you like the under, you can grab a 6.5
Yeah.
at a fairly decent number too. So if you like a side, you should be able to find a number of value. This is a shop around game. You should be able to find a good number of value, whatever you look for. You like over, don't grab 6 at plus money. Go grab 5.5 and lay that extra 20 to 25 cent juice.
Yeah, because 6 is a huge. I don't want to say it's like the overly common final score and final total of goals, but it does happen a lot. 6 to 6.5, 5.5 to 6 is a bigger difference than other differences with game totals.
If we were to ever call anything a key number in the sport of hockey, it would be the total of 6.
Yeah. Lots of 4-2, 5-1. We see that quite a bit, no doubt. Those are common scores, happen a lot. So, yeah, that's why. And like I say, Pinnacle's got a minus 120 with this over 5.5. That I will put on the card. What do you think here, Brett? St. Louis, Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking that over 5.5, but I'm just not completely sold on it. Bennington is a goalie that always plays strong against the Flyers.
He does, yeah. He does. Yeah.
Harrison's last start out was that game against Washington where he didn't close it out particularly great. And I know he's a young goalie, but all signs point to him being pretty mentally strong. So I expect a little bounce back game from him. So I'm not sure if we're even going to get to that 6 tonight. So I'm going to kind of stay off the totals and sides, just take the small shot with the draw. Flyers just want points any way they can get them right now.
Yeah, and it's West versus East, so each team's battle does not coincide with the other. So, yeah, that's definitely one of the draw factors that we talk about. Eastern Conference team versus Western Conference team, they're not in the same battle, so they don't care that the other team picks up a point. So from that standpoint, yeah, that definitely factors into a decent case here for the draw, and that we should see a competitive game. As far as the player props, I'm recycling the same, like Kevin Hayes against the Flyers, but you're right. It's tough to pull the trigger. I mean, he's not exactly been ripping it up. He hasn't scored since January 13th. But that is a former player angle that you could look at. I'm going to focus on Buchnevich. Continues to produce. Did he score the other night? Yes, he did. Buchnevich is almost automatic right now. 5 goals in the last 5 games for the St. Louis Blues. He's been feeling it right now. Playing with Thomas and Kyrou. Those guys are always live to make a dent offensively. Thomas is on a 3-game point streak and 7 points in the last 5 games for Robert Thomas as well. Jordan Kyrou, we've talked about how he's improved, obviously, since Drew Bannister took over as the coach. And I'll throw out neighbors, of course, we've mentioned as well. Zach Bolduc, Zach Bolduc on the second line. He scored his first NHL goal against Detroit. He's had 5 shots on goal the last 2 games, so there's some decent looks there. Tyson Foerster for Philadelphia, no doubt. I mean, Tyson Forster's been great. He stepped up big time. He's getting #1 power play role. 9 goals in the last 9 games for him. Had 2 goals in the victory against Ottawa the other night, and 7 shots on goal as well. So, yeah, Tyson Forster's the #1 prop look for me for the Philadelphia Flyers here tonight in this game, playing with Scott Laughton and Joel Farabee, Tippett, Frost, and Cam Atkinson. Here's the thing with Cam Atkinson. He got scratched for a couple of games, came back against Ottawa. He's a guy that knows, as much as he's gone back to Columbus days with John Tortorella, it doesn't mean John Tortorella is going to give him a free pass to play like shit. He's got to bring it. And I think Cam Atkinson's going to have a motivational factor to start getting going offensively. So maybe you sprinkle on. It's just got a feel for me. Like he's struggled, no doubt, but it's got that feel to me tonight that maybe Cam Atkinson tickles the twine here for the Philadelphia Flyers in this game tonight. Sanheim, as soon as we started talking about him a lot, he's gone 2 straight games without a point when he was on fire before that. But maybe don't bail out just yet. Give it one more chance with him. And then maybe if he doesn't produce tonight, then you lay off. All right, next up, Chicago Blackhawks, Colorado Avalanche. Colorado minus 420. Huge home favorites here at Ball Arena. 6 the total in this game. Of course, these 2 teams just played last week, Thursday night in Chicago, national TV for ESPN. And it was bad for Chicago. That was ugly. That was domination by Colorado. They could stuck in mud, couldn't generate anything. Connor Bedard getting frustrated in the 3rd period of that game. Just a really bad look for Chicago. And then they played Columbus, and then they get beaten 5-2 by the Blue Jackets. It's hard to have faith right now in Chicago. Now they're going on the road to face this Colorado team. And just when you think maybe, look, Colorado beat Chicago handily in Chicago, maybe they look past Chicago. They're not going to do that now after losing to Nashville 5-1 on Saturday afternoon. They went to Smashville and got smashed, the Colorado Avalanche, in that 5-1 loss to the Predators. So this might be another rough night at the office here for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight in Denver. The question is, where on earth do you find the value, right? I mean, you're talking about a minus 420 home favorite. I'll give you your options. Do you go first period puck line? You have to lay a price, believe it or not, minus 110 to minus 120 with Colorado first period puck line. That's not all that appealing to me. Minus 1.5 at minus 165, minus 170. That's not that appealing to me. Colorado team total over 3.5 minus 165. I don't love that price. You probably got to go over 4 at BetMGM for a better price if you want to bet that. So there really isn't a ton of great options to back the Avs, even though this feels like for the Avs after the Nashville game, they once again return home and dominate a Chicago team that looks powerless to stop it right now. So the only thing I may be interested in, and Bet365 has over 1.5 first period team total for Colorado, plus 165. That might be something I get to the window with and get and add to the card. That's, to me, the best value on the board right there. Colorado can put a 2 spot on the board, maybe in the first period tonight, plus 165. Other than that, not a ton in this game. Maybe a first period over as well. But those would be the main 2 that I'd be looking at. Maybe a first period over. Colorado parks the bus with the lead, and then also, and that's correlated to the first period team total for Colorado. That maybe 2-0 Colorado. They know Chicago's powerless to score goals right now. They're still struggling offensively, even with 98 back in the lineup, that they can just sit on it and protect the lead. And I know McKinnon has been talking about defense and improving and shoring that up down the stretch going into the playoffs. So what do you think here, Alex? Chicago, Colorado.
Yeah, I definitely like the first period over more than anything else. You can get minus $1.26 at FanDuel. And it's Justus Annunen getting the start again, who got the shutout at the United Center in that last game, as you mentioned. Hawks know that they're going to have their chances to score against him. There's no way they're getting blanked by this guy twice. Even with Colorado at home, even with the defense shut down, they're going to get at least a goal. So I think that goal comes early. I think we could see, possibly goals that most teams will score. I'm seeing plus 192. I probably will add a little bit of that in as well. So those first period looks, the only thing I have, I could see where Colorado, especially if we get a 1-1 tie, we could try and grab something Colorado, second period puck line, and get creative in game. And I could definitely see the Avs running away with this one late. But I think the Hawks going to have a little bit of life early and at least get one pass on it. And so both teams to score in the first period along with that first period over.
All right, both teams to score first period over for Alex here in this game. Let's get a 2-1 Colorado first period. That would be great. I have my first period team total over with Colorado, and we get the both teams to score for Alex. I'll probably be on the first period over as well. Everyone's happy. Maybe a sprinkle on that first period correct score 2-1 Colorado. Why not? I think that might be because you're right. I don't trust Annunen to shut the door again. Completely. Although, to his credit, he was absolute shit, terrible for many starts. But the last 2, he's stopped 52 of his last 54 shots against Detroit and what was the other? Chicago in the last start. So Detroit and Chicago, his last 2 starts, he's turned aside 52 of 54 shots. So he has played a little bit better here these last 2 games.
He has, but the dam will burst. So you can get plus 1,100 for that correct score, Colorado 2-1 lead. I'll jump in on that with you.
Yeah. I think that's possible. 2-1 Avs after the first 20 minutes. Yeah. So what do you think here, Brett? Chicago, Colorado.
Yeah, the hard thing in this game is finding that value. I thought I saw earlier on FanDuel Colorado team total over 1.5 at plus 180, which I will jump in on. I can't find it right now, but if that's what it's at FanDuel, I'll take that. But like I said, it's hard to find value in this game. Maybe something to see how the game starts, see if Colorado's actually playing with a little revenge after that loss from Nashville, or if Chicago's able to get anything going, maybe some live looks.
All right, what's funny about it's just remarkable sometimes what you see. You never say never with anything, and we're just killing poor Ryan Donato's Pizza a few days ago last week on this show. And sure as shit, he scores a goal and an assist against Columbus on Saturday night, gets a 2-point night right after. Yeah, we're calling him elephant hands and all this stuff.
Yeah. Let's see if he does it again.
Yeah. Even a broken clock is right, once or twice a day, as they say.
Right,
yeah.
And a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then.
Yeah, can you sustain it? Can you keep it rolling here now? If you're Ryan Donato, that ends up being the big question moving forward. And again, he's going to have that opportunity as long as he's playing with number 98 and Phil Kurashev as well on that top line. Maybe I'll take a shot here, Donato, tonight. Kurashev too. These two guys. Bedard can make it. Bedard's going to get to the point in his career. I don't know if he's fully there yet. He's just a rookie. Don't forget, he's 18 years old, this kid. It's amazing how good he already is, quite honestly, at 18 years old. He hasn't put on the body mass that he probably eventually will in years from now. But he's already showing that give him 3-4 years when I'm sure he's going to be starting to ramp up into the prime of his career. he's going to be Connor McDavid-esque, and that he can make a broomstick look good on the ice playing alongside him on his line. So that's why if you're Kurashev and you're Donato, it's almost embarrassing to you as an NHL player that you do dick all when you're playing with Connor Bedard. So from that standpoint, that's why there is value with their player props, because they're playing with the guy right now on the top line. For Colorado, Lehkonen, we've talked about Lehkonen a lot, but he's been very reliable from a prop standpoint for the Avalanche with McKinnon and Rantanen. What's funny is Johansson, believe it or not, starting to percolate a little for the Colorado Avalanche as well, in the last couple of games. But specifically, my favorite prop there is Lehkonen. Cogliano, too. Sneaky here, some of these recent games, what we've seen from him. But primary prop for Colorado, definitely Arturi Lehkonen. All right, the final game of this Monday NHL card, Seattle Kraken, Calgary Flames. Calgary minus 130, home favorites at the Saddle Dome, 6 the total in this game. You won't go wrong whatever broadcast you listen to. Two of the absolute best play-by-play guys going right now. Johnny Forsland for Seattle, Rick Ball for Calgary. They both do great work. As far as this game goes, Calgary's on a roll. Tough to fade Calgary right now. They're playing well. They're finding ways to win right now. But coming off the comeback, the stirring comeback, Saturday night to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-3 after being down 3-1 in the third for their 5th straight win. Winnipeg, Boston, Edmonton, LA, Pittsburgh. It's dubious spot to me for the Calgary Flames coming off that kind of win on Mika Kiprasov night where they raised number 34 to the rafters. It was a great ceremony. He's a very humble, likable guy, Mika Kiprasov. I mean, very, very quiet. It was a shorter speech because, look, he doesn't want to go on and on talking about how great he is. That's just the kind of guy Mika Kiprasov is. And look, he had to focus on his craft throughout his career. A brilliant career it was. 10 amazing years with the Calgary Flames. And Jamie McLennan, who's clearly a good speaker because he does television on TSN and he does the great radio show on Toronto with Brian Hayes and Jeff O'Neill, Jamie McLennan Noodles. What a speech he had about during that Kiprasov ceremony. Of course, Jamie McLennan was Kiprasov's backup in Calgary. And then after McLennan retired, he was actually a goalie coach for a bit with Calgary when Kiprasov was still playing. So he not only was his battery mate as a player, as the backup goalie to Kiprasov, but also Jamie McLennan was a goalie coach there for a bit for Kiprasov. So they were great friends. And his speech was hilarious. McLennan, it was funny. He says, Daryl, at the end of the speech, he says, all right, I think my time is up. I don't want to continue on here and have Daryl Sutter pull me off the ice one last time. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty good. Very self-deprecating. I thought he was a little too self-deprecating. Like he was insulting it. He was like punching himself with some of the remarks he was making in his own speech, giving himself zero credit for the career he had at all. But it was funny.
You got to keep in mind too that his shining moment in Calgary Flame uniform was when he flipped out in that the end of that Detroit series. So yeah. It's like the memory of him in a Calgary Flames uniform in his last moment that's pretty much what most people kind of remember. So.
Yeah, it was a great speech. So shout out to Jamie McLennan, phenomenal speech on the Kiprasov ceremony. I don't want to lay Calgary tonight. I haven't decided if I'm going to fade them either because they're playing well, they're finding ways to win, but I think it's a Seattle spot personally. Going into this game tonight, it looks like from a goaltending standpoint, it should be a good goaltending matchup. Jacob Markstrom, who has been terrific for the last month or so, Philip Grubauer for Seattle, who is clearly like this. This is Philip Grubauer when he looked on like amazing with Colorado years and years ago. That's the Philip Grubauer we have had for the last several games here. And I know he had a tough luck loss to Edmonton Saturday 2-1, but I still thought he played very well in that game. He had played extremely well. He had won 4 straight starts before the Edmonton loss, shutting out Pittsburgh, beating Boston, beating Vancouver, beating the New York Islanders as well. So it's been a very solid run of goaltending here for Philip Grubauer going into this game. We'll see if this one plays out. This is my game where I lean under on this card. And Alex is saying it. Alex cashed an easy under with Detroit and Florida on Saturday, noting the 19-2 under run for Florida in division games. And keep in mind, Panthers play the Rangers tonight. That's not a divisional game. That is not an Atlantic Division game. So the under doesn't fit that criteria tonight for the Panthers and Rangers game. But this one, to me, look, if these two goalies play like they have the majority of the last month, I don't know if the goals are going to be flying in fast and furious tonight between the Kraken and the Flames. So I lean to this one staying under. I lean to Seattle. I might sprinkle on the Kraken here. And this definitely, to me, I think we could see overtime. So I do like the draw here with Seattle and Calgary, and maybe put a little piece on the Seattle Kraken as well, plus 110. I don't love fading the team that's hot right now like Calgary, but that win coming back, Kipper night there, tough spot to me. And I think Seattle won in Calgary too earlier this season, if I look back. Yeah, 2-1 Seattle in Calgary on December 27th. And Calgary had won 4 straight over the Kraken before that until Seattle went there and beat Calgary 2-1 December 27th. So like I said, Seattle plus 110 for me on the side, and probably the draw as well. Alex, what do you think? Seattle, Calgary.
Yes, another game that's going to have just a true playoff feel throughout. Like I said, under makes sense. I'm seeing 5.5, so shop around. If you do like the under, grab you a 6. If you like the over, look for a 5.5. But I like the draw here in this spot. Two teams that desperately need points, and they're going to be battling tough. And I don't see a heck of a lot of scoring chances, but I think there's one player in particular that we can look for on the Seattle side that's worthy of the bargain bin. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. I think Ian's camera might be frozen, so we might have to wait for him to bounce back in. Brett, what do you like in this game with Seattle and Calgary? Big Pacific Division battle.
Yeah, the only thing I'm really leaning on here is that draw as well. The 5.5 number jumped out to me, but the way these goalies are playing, I don't see that maybe hitting. So I'm just going to stay away from any totals or size and just small play on the draw.
All right, sorry about that. We're back. Yeah, the draw, I agree. I think it's going to be one of those games for sure where we're going to see, a little bit, I think it's going to be a playoff style game. And like these are honestly, if you look at current form, like season long, these aren't two of the top goalies in the NHL for the full season, obviously, especially Grubauer. But right now, like the last week or two, we have seen clearly these two goalies play their best hockey, and it's a huge game. They know they're going to be dialed in, trying to bring their best. So definitely, I think there's some reasons to think this could be a little bit of a lower scoring affair. So that's why I'm going light on props here. I still like Bjorkstrand. I think Bjorkstrand's worth a look. He's been one of the better Kraken forwards as far as offense lately. Done as well from the blue lines live, especially in a game like this where there could be point shots and traffic in front. Could be one of those games. Get an ugly goal. Shot from the point, traffic in front, screen the goalie. They're both in great form. That's where a Vince Dunn could come into play for Seattle. It's where a Noah Hannafin maybe comes into play tonight for Calgary. Maybe they get a goal. Maybe, seeing eye shot, that kind of thing in a game where it could be tighter checking. So from that standpoint, definitely Hannafin, Dunn, maybe looking at props for them here now. And Sharon Govich you have to take for Calgary right now. Sharon Govich has been outstanding. Pospisil too, and maybe a little Coleman. Those are my 3 favorites for Calgary for props tonight. Sharon Govich, Coleman, and Pospisil for the Calgary Flames here in this one. Should be a good one, though, Seattle-Calgary, and a very important game for both teams as they try to stay in the Western Conference wildcard race. All right, great stuff. That is the Monday card. Shout out to everyone. 280 live viewers. We appreciate it very much. Hit the like button. Everyone. No doubt. The viewership has been off the charts, and it's really been even better since football season ended, which is not a surprise. Everyone now paying attention more to hockey. What you should be paying attention to as well is Ice Guys Patreon page, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Our daily sides, totals, and player props are there. And here's another incentive for the Patreon page, especially on weekends. It's not always going to be possible to get the entire card, afternoon and night card, posted on the Patreon page in time. So yesterday, when I got the card posted, our sides, totals, and player props, me, Alex B. Smith, and Connor Mack, who was on the show yesterday, it was just after 4 p.m. Eastern. It was right after the LA-New Jersey game started. I used Brant Clark for the LA Kings as my bargain bin special of the night on the show. Unfortunately, it didn't hit, but when I was putting the card out there, bargain bin special, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I used Brant Clark. That game's already started. So I said, do I just leave it blank, or do I actually put another bargain bin special on the Patreon card from the night games? I decided, you know what? Let's go with another game for bargain bin special for the Patreon members. And I ended up going with Corey Perry for the Edmonton Oilers. And he was Corey Perry for us last night, plus 500. And sure enough, the Patreon bargain bin special hit in that game. So that was great to see. And of course, Alex with his tremendous call on Zach Hyman, first Edmonton goal. So the daily sides, totals, and player props get posted there, including a few surprises like the Corey Perry edition late afternoon as my night bargain bin special of the night, if you will, for Sunday. So make sure you get in on that. Goalie charts, totals charts posted on the page as well. Bonus videos, exclusive live betcasts. We're going to be making a decision later this week when our dates for the betcasts are going to be. There's going to be fewer this month because of the basketball and the NCAA tournament, but we're definitely looking forward to still having a couple betcasts, including some Patreon exclusives in March. So sign up, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And again, your $10 per month subscription goes a long way to keeping the show rolling long term. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And again, check out the Ice Guys store. Great merch, great gear, every day available at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, we got the new Wordmark shirts that are already in stock right now. The Drawston Bruins shirts will be up and ready hopefully by the weekend. So you can grab that and all of the other merch we have, Draw Season, our regular logo, all the caps, all the T-shirts, the hoodies, everything right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yep, good stuff. Yes, indeed. True TV Plus debut today. This will be our first show on that platform. We'll be sending it over to them after it ends. And yeah, True TV Plus, not True TV, not the network. No,
right.
The
streaming platform.
Still pretty good though. We're happy about that. No question about that. So great stuff. We'll be back in just a moment. We got Bargain Bin Special of the night, best bets coming up right after we hear from our great daily sponsors of the Ice Guys show, Boston Hemp Inc.
Chad Rick.
All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. And again, you can get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys over at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. The bonus Patreon bargain bin hit for me. Alex is terrific. Zach Hyman, first goal. We got to come up with an encore, but we'll damn well try. Alex, bargain bin special.
Yeah, it's not going to have the same kind of value as yesterday, but nonetheless, hopefully we can cash it, and it is under the bargain bin criteria. I like Jared McCann to get 2 points in the game for Seattle tonight against Calgary. Like I said, there's not going to be a whole lot of scoring, but when you have these games where this is big time hockey now, this is playoff type at level hockey, you're going to have your top guys step up and deliver. And I think Jared McCann is going to be one of those guys. Like I said, it's going to be a gritty kind of a game. The goals are going to be, you got to work hard, get in front of the net, get in front of the traffic, weave through the traffic. Jared McCann is one of those guys I can kind of depend on and rely on. At plus 350 at FanDuel, I'm seeing plus 300 at PointsBet as well. So definitely within the bargain bin special. Give me Jared McCann 2 or more points tonight for the Seattle Kraken. It's my bargain bin special.
All right, Jared McCann over 1.5 points for the Seattle Kraken. Bargain bin for Alex B. Smith. Brett, what have you got in the bargain bin?
I'm taking it to the East Coast, another playoff type game with the Rangers and the Florida Panthers. And as Alex said, in these playoff games, you need your big players to step up. Barely cracks the criteria, but I'm going to take Sam Bennett, anytime goal scorer, plus 300.
All right. It's funny you mentioned that with the price, because listen to where I'm going in a moment. Sam Bennett, Florida Panthers, plus 300, right on the nose, just barely cracks the criteria for bargain bin special of the night. But so does mine, plus 300 as well. With my bargain bin special of the night, it's plus 300 at BetMGM, plus 300 at Sports Interaction and some others. Tyler Bertuzzi, someone we've had before as our bargain bin special of the night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not only in great form, scoring goals, but against the team he was most recently with, the Boston Bruins, post-trade deadline last year. It's got all the elements. A good player prop bet. Tyler Bertuzzi, Toronto Maple Leafs, against his old team. One of his old teams, because, of course, he was also in Detroit. Plus 300 for Tyler Bertuzzi. That is going to be my bargain bin special.
That's got to be a first where all three of us have, or just even me and you, Ian, but either way, where we each have one that's right on the number of plus 300 or higher.
Yeah, I know. It's that kind of day. It's crazy.
That might be a first.
Plus 300 for all three of us here with our bargain bin special of the night. But all it has to do is be plus 300 or better at any book. And that's exactly what we have here. So that's awesome. That's great. And I like them all, too. That's the important thing. We are trying to win these after all. So even if it barely makes plus 300 plateau, you got to take it if it makes sense. No question. All right, best bets to wrap it up. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet? Oh, I think Alex is the gremlins that grabbed me a few minutes ago have taken hold of him. So we'll get back to Alex in a moment with his best bet. Brett, great job again. What do you like for best bet?
Yep, I'm going to go to the Vegas-Columbus game, looking at this game as a bounce back for Vegas. With Jack Eichel looking like he's going to play tonight, I'm going to go with my best bet as Vegas first period puck line at, let me pull it up. What was it? Plus 136 over at FanDuel.
All right, that's also on my card as well. Vegas first period puck line for Brett Skalski with his best bet for this Monday card. And there he is. He's back. Alex B. Smith, best bet. What do you like?
I have no idea what the fuck just happened. But, give me Vegas team total over 3.5 minus $1.10 against Columbus. This is a game where they need to stand up and deliver. They did Tarasov's a bum, and 4 goals should be fairly easy for this team to come back. So VGK team total over 3.5 minus $1.10. That is my best bet for Monday.
All right, good stuff indeed. Best bet for Alex B. Smith there. All right, my best bet for this Monday card. Lots of good choices, lots of good options. I've decided on that price. I'm taking them. They have been good to me with this great road run that they've had all season. It's not going to be easy. I respect what the Rangers are doing. They have both been playing well, but the Florida Panthers are a notch above them right now. And if you look at their underlying numbers and their advanced numbers, they've been even stronger than the Rangers during this 10-11 game stretch. So while the records are similar, I think Florida's playing just all around just a little bit better team hockey. They have the most road wins in the NHL. And I think they had to do it tonight. The Florida Panthers minus 125 against the New York Rangers for my best bet here for this Monday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Brett Skalski, good luck, Brett, by the way, to your team. I know you're getting to the crux of your season, right? Playoffs. Go get them.
Almost there. 2 more weeks. Weekend off, and then next weekend we have our big playoff series. So
there you go. Good stuff. Indeed. All right. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will be back with you tomorrow on Tuesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.